first graders. It's Miss Chen here today. Today is April 2nd, 2020. I am here to teach you your math lesson today. So yesterday what you did was you did story problems with Miss Draper about adding penguins, and they were all standing on the ice. And today what we're going to do is we're going to keep working on our story problems, but this time we're taking them away. So if it means that we're taking it away, that means we're adding or subtracting. That is right, we are subtracting today. So I have a story for you. So it says 12 penguins were standing on the ice. 3 of them dove into water. How many penguins were left on the ice? So remember, we read this 3 times. So what is the story about? This story is about penguins. This story is about how some of them jumped into the water. All right, let's read for the second time. 12 penguins were standing on the ice. 3 of them dove into the water. How many penguins were left on the ice? So what numbers did you hear that time? I heard 12 and I heard 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight those. And now it says 12 penguins were standing on the ice. 3 of them dove into the water. How many penguins were left on the ice? Now, is there any words that we need to pay attention to? We need to pay attention to the word left. Because when we hear the word left, it tells us that we're taking away. And I'm also going to highlight the question so we know what we're looking for. We're looking for how many penguins were left. So I was wondering, what is a strategy we can use to solve this equation? One way we can do it is we can use a number rack. And so what we can do is I can show you 12. Like that. Because we started with 12 penguins. And then 3 of them went away. So that means that I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 away. Oops. And that leaves me with how many penguins? 9. Now another question for you. Is there another way to show 12 on this number rack? So you can do 6 and 6. That is another way to show 12. So if we had 12 penguins and I want to take 3 away, I can do 1, 2, 3, and then see how many I have left. And I still have 9. Okay, so how do we write that as an equation? We can write that, we started that as 12. We start with the number 12. And then we heard the word left, so that means it's going to take away. And then we heard the word 3. And then this is our equation. And that gives us our mystery number. And our mystery number is 9. Good job. Okay. Let's look at our next story problem. So it says, there were 14 penguins standing on the ice. Some of them dove into the water. Now there are only 8 penguins left on the ice. How many dove into the water? So, one more time. This time we're paying attention to the numbers and we're paying attention to special words. We're listening for some, we're listening for left, we're listening for how many, we're listening for numbers. Ready? There were 14 penguins standing on the ice. Some of them dove into the water. Now there are only 8 penguins left on the ice. How many dove into the water? So what numbers did you hear there? That is right. I heard 14 and I heard 8. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. Did we hear anything else special? Any of our special words like left, how many, or some? So I heard somebody say, Miss Chen, I heard some. So I'm going to box out some because that's going to tell us there's a mystery number. I also heard the word left, and that's going to tell me it's going to subtract or take away. And I also heard the word how many, which is going to tell me what to do with this story problem. All right, we're going to read one more time. So there were 14 penguins standing on the ice. Some of them dove into the water. Now there are only 8 penguins left on the ice. How many dove into the water? So what is this story problem asking you to do? Take a minute to think about it. What do you think this story problem is making you do? What do we already know? We know that there were 14 penguins on the ice. What else do we know? What else happened in this story? We know that some of them jumped into the water. And we also know that now there's only 8 left. And I also see this picture here. And there's a question mark. So that's telling me that the author wants us to find how many penguins are in the water. So we know we started with 14. And I see the word left, so I know that's going to be takeaway. And then I know that some of them jumped into the water. So that is a mystery number. And then it says now there are only 8 left. So that means 8 is at the end. So we had 14 penguins to start with. Some of them jumped into the water. Now there's only 8 left. We're trying to solve for how many jumped into the water, which is what this picture is showing you. Okay, so what are some strategies you can do to solve this problem? You can start from 8, and you can count up from 8 and see how many numbers it takes you to get to 14. So you can go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. How many numbers did we come up? 6. That's one strategy. Another strategy you can do is you can draw pictures on your whiteboard or paper. So I'm going to draw 14 penguins or circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there are 14 circles here. And I know that 8 of them are still on the ice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross out 8. And I crossed out 8 because I know 8 of them are still on the ice and the rest of them are in the water. So how many circles did I not cross out? 6. Good. Another strategy you could do is if we had our number rack, we can use our number rack to help us. So we can do, remember I want to use as less pushes as possible, so there's 10. And there's 14. Now, I know there's 8 left, so I'm going to get rid of 8 of these penguins to find out how many are left on the ice. So let's get rid of 8. So that's 4, And then that's 4. So how many's left? 6. Good. So I'm going to write that number in our equation. Okay. Let's look at our last story problem. So it says, some penguins were standing on the ice. 6 of them dove into the water and started swimming around. Now there are only 9 penguins left on the ice. How many penguins were there to start? All right, I'm going to read this one more time. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to pay attention to our numbers. We're going to pay attention to the words like some, left, how many, and start. Those are words we're listening for. So, some penguins were standing on the ice. 6 of them dove into the water and started swimming around. Now there are only 9 penguins left on the ice. How many penguins were on the ice to start? So what numbers did you hear this time? Good. I heard some people say 6. I heard the number 9. So I'm going to highlight those because I know that that's important. So 6 and 9 penguins. Do we hear any of our special words this time? We heard some. Good. We heard the word left. That means it's going to be takeaway. And we heard start, which means when we hear the word start, that means we don't know how many penguins there were first. So we're going to do some. We're going to highlight left. We're going to highlight start. All right. So we're going to read this one more time. Some penguins were standing on the ice. 6 of them dove into the water and started swimming around. Now there are only 9 penguins left on the ice. How many penguins were on the ice to start? So, what is the question? How many penguins were on the ice to start? So that tells me that we don't know how many penguins there were standing on the ice to start with. So that tells me that it's a mystery number. Good. So we'll draw a box for the mystery number for our equation. And what else do we know from this story? We know that 6 of them jumped into the water because we can see 6 of them in the water in the picture. And there's only 9 left. We can see that from the picture. Standing on the ice. So that is our equation. And it's asking you how many were there all to start with? Okay. So what are some strategies we can do to solve this equation? Good. Some people said, Ms. Chen, we can think about using our count up strategy. So we can count up from 9, count up 6 times. So that means we start from 9. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Because we count 6 times, 6 numbers. And then what number do we end up on? 15. We could also do another strategy where we could draw circles. And we know that there were 6 penguins. And then we know there were 9 more penguins. And we can count how many we had all together to start with. Another strategy we can do is we can use our number rack. So we had 6 to start with. Oops. Yeah, 6 to start with. And then we had 9 more. So how many do we have all together? 15. Good. So we're going to write our equation there. And then it looks like that. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to practice a couple more. So you're going to find this packet, the one that you do with your math lessons. You're going to find page 44. Looks like this. And the title is More Diving Penguins Problems More Diving Penguin Problems, page 1 of 2. So, the directions for this says, use numbers, pictures, or words to help solve the problem. Fill in the missing number in an equation when you find the answer. So what you need to do is you need to use numbers, pictures, or words to solve your equation. So number 1 says, there were 11 penguins on the ice. Then 3 more dove into the water. How many penguins were left on the ice? And the author was really nice where they wrote the equation for you. But I'm going to go ahead and highlight the numbers so that we know what we're paying attention to. So we're paying attention to 11, we're paying attention to 3, and we're paying attention to the word left. And then you're going to go ahead and solve your equation. Make sure you draw a picture. Just show me how you got it. Next one says, there were 10 penguins on the ice. Some of them dove into the water, and now there are only 3 penguins left on the ice. How many penguins dove into the water? And again, the author was really nice where they wrote the equation for you. But remember, we want to pay attention to numbers that we hear in our story problems, like 10 and 3. And we want to pay attention to words like some, because that tells me there's a mystery number. And the word left, because that also tells me that we're taking away or subtracting. Okay. So go ahead and solve that problem. Make sure you draw pictures or show me how you got your thinking. And the last one says, some penguins, I heard some, so that means we're going to highlight it. Some penguins were on the ice. Then 4 dove into the water. Now there are only 9 penguins left on the ice. How many penguins were on the ice to start? So what numbers did you hear? 4, good. I also heard the number 9. And I also heard the word some. And I also heard the word left, which tells me it's takeaway. And then the question is, how many penguins were on the ice to start? And what you could do here is you're going to solve your equation. Okay. All right, moving on to your next page. Number 4 says, solve each of the equations below. Write the answers in the empty boxes. Use numbers, pictures, or words to show you how you got the answers. So remember, you have to show your thinking. You just don't write the answer. So you got to show me numbers, pictures, or words and how you got the answers. So here you're going to solve 20 take away something equals 10. Remember, you could draw pictures. Here, something take away 10 equals 3. Okay. So I'm going to read number 5 to you now. So number 5 says, some penguins were playing on the ice. Then 10 of them dove into the water, and only 8 penguins were left on the ice. How many penguins were there to, how many penguins were on the ice to start? Use numbers, pictures, or words to show how you got the answer. So, what numbers do we hear? We heard 10, good. We also heard 8, good. And we heard what words? We heard some. So that tells me there's a, no, there are no monkeys in here. There is a mystery number. And I also heard the word left, which tells me that this is a takeaway problem. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight the question because it's telling me what to do with all these penguins. How many penguins were on the ice to start? And the author wrote the equation for you. So make sure you draw a picture. Show me how you got your answer. All right, last one. This is a challenge one, which means it's optional, but I want you to try. Some penguins were playing on the ice. Then 8 of them dove into the water. A few seconds later, 5 of those penguins jumped back on the ice. Now there are 12 penguins on the ice. How many penguins were on the ice to start? Use numbers, pictures, or words to show how you got the answer. So, looking at this story problem, what are some of the words numbers. What are some of the numbers you heard? You heard 8. You heard 5. And you heard 12. Good. So I'm going to highlight those numbers so we know what we're paying attention to. And I'm going to read this one more time to you. And this time we're going to pay attention to the special words like some, start, left, and anything else that you might think might be important. So, some penguins were playing on the ice. Then 8 of them dove into the water. A few seconds later, 5 of those penguins jumped back on the ice. Now there are 12 penguins on the ice. How many penguins were on the ice to start? Use numbers, pictures, or words to show how you got the answer. So do we hear any special words this time? I heard some. I'm going to highlight that. Remember, if you don't have a highlighter, you can always underline with a pencil. And then I heard these penguins jumped back into the water. So that tells me there's something else happening. And then I'm going to highlight penguins on the ice because that tells me how many's left at the end of the story problem. And I'm also going to highlight the question that says, how many penguins were there to start? So again, this is a challenge one. I want you to try it. And I want you to do your best. Okay? So that is the end of today's math lesson. I will be here after spring break to teach you more math. I hope you have a really great week. And I'll see you in about a week or so. All right. Take care. Be safe. Be great. And wash your hands. See you later.